Okay, guys, we want to talk about Canada's AI reset. My name is Alex. I'm from Peak Demand AI agency in Toronto. I look after everyone here, but it's my job to make sure that our team is keeping apprised of what's going on in the landscape for AI in Canada, specifically regulation, as well as the direction and trends that AI is taking on a global stage. And really happy to see that our new Minister of Digital and AI Minister Evan Solomon is quite literally sounding the alarm for Canadians to start to adopt AI in a meaningful way at speed, just because our productivity in this country is deteriorating. And this is in addition to the issues that we're seeing, in real estate, in the job market, especially, the number of businesses that are shrinking or just laying stagnant in this country it is a problem. We're coming to a point now where if we don't make drastic change, the economy that we're looking at in Canada is going to be very hurt in the near future. But I would even go as far as to say we need a complete economic overhaul of what it is that we want to pursue in this country. Like pursuing real estate is pretty much going the way of the dodo bird at this point. You know, people my age, even the people who own houses, condos, they don't like them. They don't like their mortgage. They don't like the fact that values are falling. Um, and so the idea that investing in real estate as a safe haven for your money or an investment vehicle, it's really apparent that we got to start thinking about business in a different way. We shouldn't be thinking about our house as an investment. Should be thinking about businesses, uh, creating value, producing value, and AI is really good at that when done in the right way. There's a lot of different studies coming out showing that people who aren't trained on AI are making devastating errors with it. So we want to bring Canadians up to speed with what really works, what's producing value, and avoid things that would be detrimental. And so AI Minister Evan Solomon sounding the alarm. I did a short video on this earlier in the week just because I was so excited. So I'm going to watch a little bit of that, actually, just a couple of minutes. Okay, guys, a little bit of a break the glass emergency video from our team because we're getting some remarkable conversation coming out of Montreal from the AI minister, Evan Solomon. I'm like, Evan, you weren't in my best books until now. Now you're my rising star. Love to see the type of language coming at you at this all-in conference in Montreal, September 24th, 2025. So that literally just happened today. And as an AI agency owner, I got to say, I've been waiting for a moment like this. So I'm going to get Evan talking a little bit more, but AI adoption in Canada, we've been held up for years. And I am so glad the government is acknowledging that. And you're going to hear some words from the minister on that. You put in work every single day and understand, shit, all that grind and hard work, it was worth it. So you can tell how emphatic and passionate I was, at that time. It was like, wow, Alex, you've been sort of doing this or on this AI journey pretty much by yourself for quite some time in Canada. Like I tell people I'm doing AI, they're just like, whoa, this guy's from the future, and it's like it's not like that. We're just so behind in Canada on tech that it looks like I'm doing something futuristic, but all this stuff is happening around the world, at volume and at scale. We're just super far behind on it. So I just want to hear Evan talk a little bit.
For the sake of the technology is not the plan. Adopting technology for the sake of the service delivery is the plan. Clear metrics and clear customer change. So you've got to have clear metrics. And the partners, the good partners in this technology, and you're seeing them here and you're probably seeing them all through this entire all-in conference. And there's many. will help partner on that. Look, investing, a lot of CEOs, in Canada, we have a low adoption rate. Now it's changing.
So bottom line is super low adoption rate. Like our businesses are racing to hire cheap labor, low skilled labor to do tasks that a literal AI agent could do faster and more economically. So it's a mindset shift. I remember speaking to a business owner. It's having a discovery call with one of my service guardians, and we showed him the pricing of an agent, and it was like a fraction of a cost of hiring someone. Like it was like so low compared to a full-time employee, like literally doing everything the employee is doing, but doing it cheaper. It's something even arguably better. And I'm not saying we're actively trying to replace employees, but that employee could go off and do something more important at the business and get probably paid more to do that. So that's our intention. That's our goal. Offsetting these tasks to machines to do better, so that humans can do more sophisticated jobs that the machines could not do. And so we presented him with that. We showed him pricing, and he says, "Well, I could hire someone for cheaper." And when we priced it out, like literally the only way that he could hire someone for cheaper is if he was hiring someone for below minimum wage. And what we came to conclude was, this guy was hiring, Filipino people, Indian people. They may have even been living here, but he was paying them well below minimum wage. And we're just looking at the situation, going like, okay, the odds of us selling this guy on AI, where he has to spend more than a few $100 at a time, it's remarkably low. So we're not going to waste any more time on it. But the very fact that this business owner is actively trying to pursue hiring people for below minimum wage made me believe that it's not it's the people running the businesses. It's the people who have the capital. They have to make the decision to be better. Can we do that in this country? Can we ask ourselves, hey, can we stop hiring people for below a wage that's literally not going to be allow them to live a decent life? I was reading somewhere that the UN was saying like we have like um, a modern day slave like conditions because we're hiring people coming from overseas at such a low rate, a low wage that they can't even afford a decent life. I mean, we're seeing it. I'm seeing it play out in Toronto, but just having that idea in mind that there's business owners out there who are looking to hire people for below what is required by law to pay them indicates to me like this is a very fundamental issue with how we think about doing business in Canada, and it's coming apart at the seams. So for the AI minister to come out and say, "Hey, find a partner, help you do things better in a more cost-effective way," really brings peace to the mind, because we can't be doing this forever, guys. If you're a business owner in Canada and you think hiring cheap labor is the answer, you gotta you gotta do better. The bottom line is you have to do better, because your business is not going to last. Young people are going to wake up and they're going to be like, well, why the hell would I work for a wage that's not even at the level that the government requires me to be paid, and stay there or stay in this country because that's what I'm being offered across the board. So just a little bit of context for why I think Canada's AI minister is going so hard with trying to push Canadians towards AI. So fast tracking refreshed AI national strategy is the goal. It's highlighting procurement, privacy reform, sovereign compute, 30-day task force, all details that really, the bottom line is just start. If you're a Canadian business owner or operations manager, just start, spend money now, because the longer that you try and figure it out, the more pressure and the more of a spend you're going to have to make when you get to the point where things are breaking. So Canada just flipped a switch from wait and see to move now with Evan Solomon as the new AI minister. Ottawa is pulling the national AI strategy forward by nearly 2 years. Like literally, when do you see a government fast tracking anything? It's because I'm even watching things out of Parliament where some of our finance um, people, the people who run the finance of Canada, saying we're on an unsustainable path for national debt to GDP. It's unsustainable, and they were very. And I might do a conversation on that because that was pretty interesting. Because that guy was like, in my 30 years, I've never seen something like this. So if everyone's saying that things are bad and you still want to do the same thing that you're doing, then you really can't complain when bad things start happening to you. And so I'm really looking forward to those smart business owners. They book discovery calls with us. They're like, hey, like we can't hire someone to do the level of work we need at this role because it's not economically feasible. We can't pay someone enough to do this role. We just need that work to be done. Can you help us? I say, no problem. This way, your employees are going to have more time to do things that can produce. And in that production, you're going to be able to hire more employees to produce. So it's really just a matter of biting the bullet and investing in your own sustainability. So Ottawa is pulling the national AI strategy forward by nearly 2 years, framing this as a hinge moment for our economy. Urgency over timeliness, accelerate adoption, commercialization, and safety. Like, let's go. From research to results. We were a world class AI research nation up until the rest of the world figured out what was going on. Then we zoomed to last place. So really need to stop thinking about stuff and start doing stuff in this country. From pilots to production, emphasis on government procurement, sovereign infrastructure, and regulatory clarity. Conditions businesses need to launch with confidence. I mean, I'll tell you the types of businesses that launch with confidence or that is start with confidence. They have a problem that they're looking at and they're thinking to themselves, one person won't be able to solve this problem. Two people won't be able to solve this problem. Hell, five people. If we hired five people, we couldn't solve this problem. Let's just say answering the phone 24/7. It's just not economically feasible to have someone answering the phone 24/7. That's the bottom line. You don't want someone up at 2 a.m. tired as hell trying to have meaningful conversations, especially about anything related to business, just to cover, say, an international order or an international client. What would be a better way to go about handling that business? Well, having an AI intake take all the information, meaningfully respond, and even perhaps providing help, and then having that conversation forwarded to the ops team the next day to really take a look into instead of just missing the call completely. So it's like that's a very basic use case, and we go after basic, easy to understand use cases for Canadians because when you get in the weeds and too much complexity and sophistication, like Canadians are just like they're just like, oh my gosh, this is so much planning. Okay, we'll figure it out in 2 years, and then they do nothing. You just got to really just hone in on a use case that can provide value immediately, and then bite the bullet and then just invest a small amount, get started. So Canada's AI snapshot, literally the most abysmal adoption rate amongst G7. 10.6% plan to use it, still not enough. 74 plus percent say it's irrelevant. I think it might be at 78% from the StatCan survey. And this is frightening because if over 70% of businesses are saying AI is not relevant, that means that the people who run those businesses fundamentally do not understand where the technology is. That's just like a business owner not understanding the internet. Probably not a good person to be running your business. That's the bottom line. So we need to flip this on its head. And I really do believe it's going to have to take the government saying, if you do not educate your executive leadership on the importance of AI, your business may not exist over the next few years. God knows they're not going to exist over the next couple of decades just because of how much the economy is transforming with this technology. I'm a lot more calm today, a lot more discerning and determined. The excitement behind Evan Solomon's refresh on AI is slowly yet surely becoming a, well, Alex, now your team is far more responsible for the AI adoption of uh, of Canadians than than you first anticipated. Like, yeah, it's great. We're going to get a whole bunch of new clients, but literally the education part is going to be the biggest part because we got to tell people you've been doing business a certain way for 30 years. That no longer works in the same way. So, big responsibility, but of course, with responsibility comes accountability, and with accountability comes accounting. What this mix tells us for the different rates of adoption and plans for adoption. Low current use versus high workforce presence. Canada has substantial AI talent employed, yet business adoption remains thin. 150,000 Canadians already work in the AI sector. I would say I mean, working in the AI sector versus knowing how to put together an AI automation that produces. It's just like the tech sector. I think there's about 25, 30 million people in tech. How many of those people know how to code? So you want to find a team. It doesn't have to be us. Peak Demand is just one AI agency. We do a lot of work, but find an AI partner that knows what they are doing. You will super fast track your deployment, but also you will likely save a lot of uh, money and time if you try to do it yourself. We have internal teams coming in here more now than ever because they're like, we tried this, we can't do it. AI sucks. And then we turn around and say, well, AI doesn't suck. Your prompting might suck, or your API connections might suck. The technology is really powerful. That's just like a child who is playing with a lighter or matches, and then they burn themselves. And then they say, well, fire's not very useful. Heat isn't very useful. Well, those two things are pretty much being used 24/7 every day, all day across the planet. It's just that you don't really know how to use it, do you? So we got to really, bring the temperature down for Canadians in their vitriol towards the technology because they don't know how to use it, and just say, hey, look, we're going to help you get there. You might not necessarily need to know all the intricacies about the technology because you're not specialized in AI, but getting an AI partner that's specialized and that's expert 24/7, that's really going to help you. Intent execution gap. So it's funny because like there's a huge, oh yeah, we're gonna use AI, we're planning on it, planning on it. 2 3 years later, nothing happens. And really, when you're in AI and you understand how the iterative process works, like I at any point in time when I'm putting together an automation or content or anything like that, I got 3 to 5 AI terminals up doing generative AI, pictures, text, video, like all sorts of stuff. Then I have maybe a couple other doing strategy, building roadmaps, stuff like that. Like there's all sorts of stuff happening in front of me that where I'm using the AI terminals enough where my prompting has become crystal, so to speak. Like I know how to get to my goal right away. We have playbooks for God knows how much stuff. But if you're not doing that much prompting and you're just living your day to day, doing your little emails, CRM, or uh, you're playing in your ERP or EHS, EMR, and you're not really engaging with the prompt terminal that much, you're not really going to know how the beast works. So, and that's okay because it's just like you trying to install electricity in your house. Do you really need to know all of the how the electricity works, how it's moving through circuitry and currents and switches and stuff like that, or you just get an electrician to come and do it? Like, and that's where I really do believe we're going to be having some exciting times for the agency in the next few years because the number of teams that need AI versus know what they're doing, it's like, guys, we will help you. I mean, we're an agency, so we're going to partner with you, but don't feel like, oh well, we don't know how to do this, so we shouldn't do it. Feel like we don't know how to do this, find an expert that can help. Ask ChatGPT what peak demand does. Ask ChatGPT about how we work with compliance. You don't even have to ask us. It's funny, we call businesses. It was a healthcare campaign we did. We're calling them and we were asking to speak to the ops manager, practice manager, owner. It's like, yeah, it's about AI. It's about AI adoption. And a lot of the times they would say, oh, not interested, no thanks, no, we don't need AI. And they'd be like, okay, well, how far are you in your adoption? It's like, oh, well, the owner's doing their own research. They're going to do all the research. They're going to do it. And it's like, great. We love to hear that, because when business owners in Canada do research, they're going to quickly find that Peak Demand is like one of the few teams that's, being vocal on this, and it is actually doing implementations well. So I'm looking forward to more. Which leads me to the next point: perception barrier. The not relevant majority signals a knowledge and understanding gap, not a lack of viable use cases. So it's really just like we have ignored tech for so long in this country that it's an anchor on our ability to grow. And AI, the knowledge gap leap from a basic website and putting those up to understanding how large language models work and layering different levels of training across a conversation to infer the best answers in a customer service call. Like, it's going to be too hard. It's okay. You just have someone else come in and help you. So, bottom line is Canada isn't short on AI talent or tools. It's just constrained by perception and execution. Converting intent in small shippable pilots is the fastest way to move the numbers. Like, just get your things working, guys. Like, get your AI agents speaking, observe what they do. They're not going to bite you. Like, all these horror stories on AI in Canada has completely turned our country off mentally to the technology, and it's quite literally hurting our economy. Let's see. I want to see what we can talk about. Commercialization, adoption rates, how we got here. There's a bit of funding that we went through. National first AI national strategy, 125 million, 2017. Great. I think the U.S. is spending that like on a weekly basis. 2021 renewal and shift towards commercialization, a little bit more money. 2024, $2 billion for targeted programs. I don't even know where that went. 2025 early refresh, forcing the strategy to move up because we're getting really far behind in business. So the timeline is spending more and more money on AI over time, and then literally fast forwarding because we're going too slow. That's at the federal level, guys. So this is the federal government spending a little bit, spending more, spending even more, and then going even faster. So for you, it'd be spend a little bit of money, spend a moderate amount of money, AI overhaul, and then push the seams for scaling up. So if you're a business owner watching. I mean, you could also be a business owner watching and be like, I don't believe or care about what anything this guy says, because, he's talking about AI, he's talking about taking jobs or anything like that. It's fine. Like, doing this job, I've had to accept that there's going to be two groups of people at the end of the day after everything is said and done. There's going to be the group of Canadians, or just human beings in general, who adopt technology and see an explosion of growth and productivity for their operation of their business. And then there's going to be everyone else. So I really do hope, the everyone else in that group, the work that you guys are doing, if it's still working for you, great. Try to hold on as long as you can. But eventually things are going to change. What's new in the 2025 reset? I want to talk about privacy, sovereign compute, quantum innovation. So we are lining up for quantum, which is great. But I would say we're still, let's get our AI infrastructure up first, or at least, start building data centers where we can manage a lot of this compute. Because Canada, our data center situation, like in the States, like every single tech company is developing a data center. We can't even get one data center up somewhere just for basic LLM needs. So looking forward to that. Why Canadian businesses still hesitate. Paralysis by analysis. Like, this is the bottom line. Canadians like to plan everything for years and then literally do nothing. Like, they could plan an entire business transformation and then table it again. Oh, we're going to look at the next quarter, next budget, next quarter, next budget, next quarter. 5 years later, oh, how's your AI plan going? Oh, we're looking at starting next year. It just never happens. And like, we had a stint going through municipalities trying to introduce the technology, because I really do believe public sector needs AI the most. Like, there's just a news article that just came out where Doug Ford's freezing public sector hiring in Ontario because it's like 5x since 2023, and we're spending a lot of money on public sector employees, but productivity in the country's like collapsing. So he's probably thinking, you know what, we probably can't spend all our money on hiring these people. We pretty much should, try something else. And I personally believe they're going to try AI. But paralysis by analysis, this is not just a business. For businesses, we see this individually. For stakeholders who are in the business, they got to kick the opportunity for AI up the chain. They don't want to do it. They're afraid what people might think. They're afraid they might lose their job. It's like if we're thinking this way and our entire perception around AI is fear, then don't worry about adoption. You should probably worry about what the business is going to look like in 5, 10 years, because unless you adopt AI, you're pretty much going the way of the dinosaur. I personally believe it's the knowledge gap and understanding. Knowledge gaps in Canada for tech are profound. We are so far behind in what is considered to be modern day technology, especially digital technology, that I think it's going to be a younger generation that looks back at this moment and says, why the hell weren't we doing anything at that time? So I don't want to be in that group. I'm pushing as much as I can to see adoption take hold, municipal level, business level. If you're seeing me on YouTube and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to feel bad about not adopting AI. I don't want to, I don't understand what I'm looking at a lot of the times, but I do know it's going to help. Open up ChatGPT, chatgpt.com, and just trauma dump your situation. Just tell it what's going on. I don't know about AI. I know I need to include it in my business. How do I start? And there's two paths you can start with. You can start on your own solo journey in your education, and that's going to be you exploring hundreds of tools to try and figure out what works where. We did all that already. It's not nice. Or you set up a discovery call with an AI agency that you can see in person if needed. Like, we're in Toronto, so if any of our clients in Canada need to see us, no problem. Even in the States, we had a couple clients like, can you fly down here so we can talk about digital stuff? And it's like, we can do a web meeting. It's funny. But, you know, have a conversation with an agency and just get down to use cases that work right now. So just because you're lost doesn't mean you don't have to do anything. It just means you have to either try harder on your own and go through that pain of self-learning. Or if you're a business and you need operations to run smoothly and smoothly transition towards AI operations workflows, schedule a discovery call. So just a little bit about peak demand. We've seen this pattern firsthand, hundreds of demos across Canada. Sticking point isn't infrastructure or even funding. It's perfectionism. Businesses want to cover every edge case, anticipate every outcome, build airtight systems before testing anything. Like, we have a couple clients like this. They're fighting tooth and nail to not deploy, and I'm just telling them, hey, you don't deploy, we're literally just going to give you back all your money, and you can go find another agency, because it doesn't make sense for us to do all this work forever when you're tying up the operations. You're gluing up the smooth path towards efficiency by not wanting to deploy. So I have to sometimes get a little firm with our clients and say, hey, listen, you don't do anything, like, we're just going to walk away from this. Like, it's not worth our time to, pat you on the head every single time you get scared that your robot said something that wasn't exactly what you thought it was going to be. This is a black box technology. It's not deterministic. That's why agencies exist, to try and wrangle the black box um, uh, results or inferences into strong conversations and meaningful production. Execution versus intention, turning AI adoption plans into shipped AI systems in Canada. So a little bit about defining, one workflow that you can hone in on that can generate ROI immediately. You want to be able to measure outcomes so that you can compare them to how you were doing things before. And this is where sometimes I really do believe some of the businesses in Canada are like borderline pathetic, because they are, questioning the investment in AI, which could be like a few $1,000, maybe like 10, 15,000 bucks. And they're saying, well, how do I know this is actually going to produce? How do I know it's going to reduce the time it takes to do stuff, or, say things properly, or this and that? I'm like, okay, well, what are your current benchmarks for that stuff? What are your current metrics? Do you have any KPIs that we can sort of work towards? And the answer is no. A lot of the companies we speak to don't even record their phone calls for quality assurance. It's like I feel like sometimes we completely skipped evolving out of the businesses that were doing well in the 80s and 90s, and then we just like data capture in this country is almost non-existent for a lot of businesses, and that's where AI does the most work, capturing data and showing you how ROI is generated versus the way you were doing things. So I'm really looking forward to this fourth quarter, when businesses start to say, hey, you know what, like, I don't like the way this guy sounds. Like, he sounds sort of mean, but he's right. Let me see. Why most AI plans in Canada stall. They chase full coverage, edge cases perfection before launch, treat AI as a single project, not a continuous product. And it's true. AI is not just oh yeah, our AI is working now. It's, well, that's like saying, oh yeah, well, our business is on the internet, or oh yeah, our computers have electricity. It's like AI is going to touch every piece of operation that your business engages in once you figure out what it does. And that's not me saying that, you know, because I'm biased. I'm an AI agency owner. That's just me saying that because of what I'm seeing in the rest of the world. I mean, for us at the agency here, if I find out that these guys are trying to do things without the assistance of AI, I get very upset. And I say to them, like, listen, you're gonna try and figure this out on your own when you have a literal supercomputer assistant at your fingertips that you can ask any question that you want. You're going to try and think, you're going to try and use your human brain to infer what the best answer is when you can easily bounce anything you want off of this machine. Not happening. Use AI. You'll get better results. And they do. They do. Thousands of prompts later, I make these guys prompt over and over and over and over until they get it right. And that's why we do well, because I don't let them stop. If you want to work for Peak Demand, that's a good way to sell it. We don't. As soon as you sit down on the AI machine, you can't get up. Positive momentum in Canada's AI ecosystem, sovereign compute, enterprise AI agents, public-private adoption. We are seeing adoption increase in Canada. Like, it's, bottom line, we're getting more customers. So obviously, AI adoption is improving. And what's funny is that once our customers sort of get the idea on how we work and what we're doing, they get so excited because they go, whoa, these guys, these guys are going to be able to do this. And they said they can sort of do this, but they don't want to do it until later. They want to sort of figure this out first. What else can these guys do? We love that question. Well, can the AI do this? What else can it do? As soon as we get there, then we know that business owner, operator, manager, they're there. They've tuned in. It's dawned on them. They've had that realization, we call it, that things can work a lot easier when you adopt this technology. Let me see. What was he saying? It was sovereignty, sovereign compute. That's a little of the ways off. We're not going to completely rely on Canadian systems to build out these workflows. And even the AI minister himself said that cross-border data handling is going to be part of your AI infrastructure. Sorry, we got to use Microsoft, we got to use Google, we got to use Amazon Web Systems. We don't, like, if Canada has its own language model through Cohere, which is great. I'm like proud now that our country has its own language model. But Cohere is very, very much using systems that are cross-border and international to deploy their LLM, and they understand cross-border data handling is a thing. That's why security, privacy, encryption is a thing. Like, the idea that we're still on this notion that Canada's data has to remain in the border of Canada, like, we live in the cloud now, so these like well, I mean, people still want things like on-premises deployments and stuff like that. But I can tell you right now, with this AI refresh, they're even talking about a complete overhaul of the data regulations in Canada, which I can't wait for, because it's going to mean that the systems that we deploy here in this country are going to necessarily need to be better. They're going to need to follow SOC 2, GDPR, AES 256, TLS 1.2. All that stuff is going to have to get baked into the systems that are developed in Canada. And I suspect that's going to make our tech industry a lot more respected internationally. So yeah, here we go. Privacy reform and public trust. Canada's data laws are 25 years old. Modernization must cover deepfake scams, protections for children. Without clear rules, businesses hesitate. With them, adoption accelerates. I mean, we've had a few people saying they're waiting for the regulation. We've had a few people come in here and say, "Well, what about data residency?" And then we just say, "Well, literally, the AI minister just told us that data needs to be handled cross border, and we need to understand data flow and security, not keeping it within Canadian borders." So, really, really looking forward to more business owners understanding that. This one is a huge one in this country: talent retention and skills development. Our country bleeds talent on a regular basis. We are constantly losing talent to the States because the States is moving at warp speed with their technology. And Canadians who have any semblance of you know basically aptitude in tech, they're like, well, I don't want to work for a company in Canada where my skills are literally undervalued or just disregarded. I'm going to go to the States. I am taking the risk of not going to the States, staying in Canada, and being sort of the go-to for AI for businesses who are getting started or who want to take their operations to the next level. And I can tell you right now, it was a risk. There was a certain time when no one wanted to engage with AI. But with all risks, the risk, the higher the reward. We started getting clients in that were very meaningful, notable names in Canada. So I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe no, aren't a lot of teams doing this. So there is a real talent shortage for AI expertise in Canada. But I can tell you, if you do know someone who understands automations, workflows, and stuff like that, like hold on to them. Like what they know is going to become very, very valuable over the next few years. Let's see what else. So our perspective on AI adoption in Canada: global, local stack, cross-border data reality, new SEO, LLM visibility gap. So just a little bit about what our perspective is on this transformation. So myself, Alex Maslecki, has watched Canadian firms underinvest in technology fundamentals for nearly 2 decades. Long before AI, many organizations hesitated to commit to SEO and organic lead generation. Like, this is where I first started in tech. Like, hey, can I work on your website to get you more visibility on Google? I remember Canadian business owners telling me that I was a scammer because I was trying to help them with visibility on Google for their search engine optimization. Lo and behold, that sentiment has hurt us greatly, because now ChatGPT, like you said right here, treating them as optional rather than foundational. So SEO and organic lead generation was being treated as optional. That hesitation compounded: fewer pages ranked, fewer branded searches, weaker pipelines, smaller budgets to reinvest. This is the ironic part, guys. It's for something as basic as SEO, and we include SEO in our offering because of how profound it is when it comes to visibility through AI. Because we're AI guys. When it comes to marketing, leverage AI, leverage language models, leverage chatbots. How do you do that? Ironically, the rise of LLM answer engines now amplifies the penalty of not having SEO. We know that visibility through Google and search engines means visibility through ChatGPT, Grok. I would suspect Cohere when I see some search stuff out of them. I haven't dug enough into the LLM. It's mostly for government and enterprise, but these chatbots are quite literally providing links to services, products, information from the internet. How does it do that? Search engine optimization. So I just imagine all of these teams that told me, "Sir, SEO is not for us. SEO is a scam. SEO is this. SEO is that." The large language models are using SEO to determine who gets visibility in chats. We get leads from ChatGPT. So for me, it's like the irony is just so palpable, and I do get excited talking about this stuff, but I can tell you right now, the the true excitement and my true elation comes from just like new discovery call coming in. Oh, we just got someone else new that found us through ChatGPT. That means everything that we're doing is working. So it really gives us positive momentum like that. Um, so a little bit on LLM servicing is fine. Global, local by design. Sovereignty is an architecture question, not a slogan. So I just want to talk about data sovereignty for a second because Canadians have a huge misunderstanding on sovereignty. Like we are leagues behind in understanding this stuff than the rest of the world. A large share of software used by Canadian firms, including products built by Canadian founders, rely on global hyperscalers. So Google, Microsoft, AWS. That reality doesn't automatically negate Canadian sovereignty. It means sovereignty must be designed. Like we literally are leveraging US systems to build our software. How are you supposed to be fully sovereign if you're still having a US system in your tech stack? You're not. It's really understanding data flow, data privacy, and data security that allows you to sort of be sovereign over your data. Like I understand where my data is going. I have that, that overseer, or being able to oversee how data is moving through systems across borders, how it's being treated, who gets to see it. That is what data sovereignty is, and that comes from system and workflow design in a meaningful way, and also showing which data should be shared, and showing which data, or not showing which data should not be shared. So our position is you want to build your workflow or your operation using an architecture that leverages best in class security. When you are leveraging best in class security, then the idea of sovereignty sort of takes a back seat. It's like, well, I'll use Google because I know Google is a literal monolith in our planet, in our world, and they have really strong security. Doesn't mean that I'm doing anything bad for Canadian data. It's Google. Like I really believe we're going to come to a point where these companies are going to be what determines regulation, or at least a direction of regulation, rather than what the government thinks, just because these companies are the heart and blood of the infrastructure that would govern how things move or how data is moving. So this is getting into the real weeds of sovereignty, data residency philosophy, which I try to get my clients to ignore, because no one's going to come after you from the government for using Google or Microsoft in your AI automation. They're literally trying to figure out how to make it easier for you guys to adopt using US and international systems. So don't worry, you're going to be okay. Let me see what else here. I would say if you're a Canadian business and you haven't started your SEO journey, do it ASAP. Like large language models are literally giving out free business. Um, Let me see what else can I talk about just quickly. Guardrails, governance, responsible AI adoption. Obviously, we want to get there tight, light, and right. So, tight regulations that are not so cumbersome where it stops adoption, and also regulating the right things like the right data, personal information, healthcare information, stuff like that, finance information. And really, the bottom line is we need to gain some traction and momentum in our adoption, or we are going to live in a world that looks like it's in tatters. And I can tell you right now, and this is going to take a huge mentality shift from business owners, because the way that we've been doing things, it might be working now. It's not going to work in 5, 10 years. It just won't. There's going to be too many new systems, too many requirements for integration. I'm talking to business owners who are just learning now what an API is. And you might not know it's an application programming interface. It's how systems talk to one another. It's what we do a lot of work when we're doing integrations for systems. But this is the type of world we're living in where we have to start to leverage the ability for these technologies to communicate, have data flow through them properly and safely, and drive more efficiency and production through that flow. So Canada no longer has the luxury of waiting. With a refreshed national AI strategy pulled forward and clear mandate from AI Minister Evan Solomon, direction is set. What remains is the hard part, execution. Either Canadian businesses move from decks to deployment, or we watch the productivity gap widen, first to domestic peers who ship, then to international competitors who already have. So I really, I do believe that there's going to be a group of Canadians who take hold of this technology and who rise to the challenge. Like in every single evolving economy or ecosystem, there's always, it's natural selection. There's always the strong, will survive, survival of the fittest, so to speak. And in this case, those who are strong are those who are willing to take the leap towards this new technology. Those who are not so strong are going to try and bandage their issues with cheap labor. And in Canada, we are quite literally seeing the result of relying on cheap labor, you know, charging too much for houses. Like it's all coming apart at the seams. So we have to do things meaningfully. We have to do things in a way that lead towards sustainability. I took environmental science in university. Sustainability was more centered around the ideas of our climate and our ecosystems. I don't even get a chance to see much greenery around me, let alone talk about the sustainability of our climate. I'm trying my best to promote sustainability for businesses in this country. The what does your business ecosystem look like? How can we make it sharper, faster, better, more profitable, more cost effective? That's where a lot of my education is now being rooted. So and it's being done through technology because the normal way of business is not working out so well. So if you are just starting your AI journey and you're a Canadian business that hasn't done anything, maybe use ChatGPT a couple times, you want to know how to really take this to the next level, schedule a discovery call with our team. One of our service guardians will pick you up if you get past the point of the first conversation towards getting a prototype developed. You'll probably see me on that call to demonstrate your prototype for a workflow that we literally think of for you. That's the thing. You'll come into our meeting, you'll have no idea what's happening. We'll come up and design a workflow literally on the spot for a bottleneck in your operation. We'll design the prototype so you can hear what it sounds like. We'll show it to you, and then we'll show you how much it's going to cost to implement this in your operation. And you don't have to do anything. You literally just have to show up in the meeting, and then we just take a look at your entire world. So that's how much we've had to do to get things over the line. And it's funny because we'll get some people in here saying they tried AI, they've done this, they know how to do everything, but they still want to talk to an agency. It's like I think a lot of it's pride, because business owners, they've been making money for so long, and then all of a sudden they got to change. If someone who's been making money, I can tell you there is an element of pride that comes with that. Like, oh, great, you're able to put together a service or operation or a product that someone wanted to pay you for. You created value. Great. Like, you're a superstar. No one cares. No one cares except for you. But I will tell you that people really care about business owners empowering their own people. Like, I try to empower my guys all the time. I supercharge these guys. I try and make it so that they feel like working for peak demand makes them powerful. And how do I do that? Give them technology, give them tools, give them direction enough to get them going. But I don't want to tell them everything to do. I want them to be smart enough and strong enough to do it on their own. And that's sort of what I want for businesses, where it's like, hey, you might not know AI. You just get to a point where you understand it. And you just tell us what you want, and we'll build it for you. You're sort of autonomous in your own process of thinking, your way of thinking. We just become the mechanics. So I just wanted to do a. This is more of like a rant than anything else. Just we're touching on a few different things. There's all sorts of content here on AI governance, safeguards. If you guys want to see any of that, but really, it's just going to come down to get started, guys. Get started. There's nothing stopping you except for your own mentality towards the future. And if you're out, if you're an older business owner and you're just looking at this video going, well, like my time's done. I'm on the brink of retirement. Like I don't care. If you have any pride in your business and you're passing it off to a younger person, invest in AI for them. They'll really appreciate you for that if you care enough for that. But also just if you're selling the business, having AI operations already in place makes it easier to sell. We got one client who saw how well we put together our workflow automation for him, that he wants to develop franchises for the business because he knows we can just put together any automation that he wants. So and that type of feeling really what drives me to do more and help more business owners, especially older ones who can just see like value and recognize that. Really good investors, really good business people. Those are the types of people we really want to work with. If you're stuck in your ways, don't want to change, think everything that has to do with digital is a scam, please, don't book a discovery call. We've had so many discovery calls with people who like want us to call like 10,000 Canadians a day to like sell cars or real estate or something. And it's just like, guys, meaningful workflow operations that help businesses produce value to hire more Canadians to help our economy. That's what we're after. If you like what you heard today, or you think our team's providing any values in this video, you can like and subscribe. Otherwise, if you like the sound of my voice, you can subscribe as well. But we're really looking forward to more conversation on this. I'm probably going to have another video up on just what's going on with the hiring freeze in Ontario, because I find that very fascinating, because a lot of hiring freezes are happening in the States right now, pivoting towards AI. So looking forward to the next one. And if you guys have ideas for conversation pieces or topics that you want a Peak Demand to cover, please let us know. We're starting to get some feedback from the community, some people posting things or comments, letting us know how they feel, some good, some bad, but really do appreciate all that engagement on our road to 100 subscribers. Looking forward to the next one. Bye now.